Anytime you purchase a product, some particular value SKU is what compelled you to buy.
Mhm.
Now, that could be what people think is usually it is. It's the best price, but that's usually not what compels people to buy. It's something else. So that could be you read a story on the website that was compelling, that you identified with. It could be that the website was easier to use. It could be that there was a smiling picture of the CEO who, I don't know, just something about him and you liked it. It could be a better ingredient. It could be an ingredient that doesn't exist. And an example I use in my book is a boring package of tortilla chips. So in that scenario, the tortilla chips I bought was more expensive, but it said non-GMO on the label. So that label, non-GMO, was a value SKU that compelled me to pick that over the other product, which was cheaper, that did not have that label. And then there was other packages that were more pleasingly designed. It had a better label, so there's all these factors that are in play that a consumer weighs in his head to ultimately decide, I'm going to pick that one. I'm going to give you money. So when you are starting a business, you should be focused on value SKU, because any of these variables is what could compel somebody to buy from you. So, and you never know what they are because they're subjected to everyone. Certainly someone bought the other bag of tortilla chips because it was cheaper. So that's an item. So what the optimum thing to do is reverse engineer every value SKU possible in what I call a value array of the industry and see what you can do better in the consumer's eyes. So if you're doing something better in the consumer's eye and it is discernible, you improve your probability for making the sale. So this is why I say it's insane to say there's no ideas, because ideas are basically value SKUs. So if you have 2 or 3 value SKUs that you do better than the competition, you have yourself a business. Value SKU, again, it could be customer service. You answer the phone. You provide email support within seconds. It could be a variety of different things. And the more SKU you have, the better business you have. A good example is Uber. They disrupted the taxi business. So they didn't have 1 or 2 value SKUs. They had a dozen, which is why they're now a $1 billion company and they're around the world. They got cheaper service. They got more professional drivers, with the taxis, with the goo on the back of the seat and all that other crap. They just basically disrupted every aspect of that industry or value SKU and created a business. So when you're getting into business, that is something you want to look at is basically say, what are we doing better than the competition? And is it discernible to the customer where it may compel them to buy from us? Now, SKU goes negatively as well. There's negative SKU. And I'm familiar with negative SKU because I've heard it for the last 10 years. I can't tell you how many times I have heard somebody say, I did not buy your book because the title sounds cheesy, or the title, it sounds like a get rich quick scheme. We're talking about the Millionaire Fast Lane here. So that's a negative SKU. I have lost probably $1 million in sales because people have indicated they did not like that title. And incidentally, this was a problem that occurred right when the book was released. Within a month, I heard many people say that cover you have, now we're not even talking about the title anymore. I had a cover that was green and orange and had a Lamborghini on the front. It was looking back, it was pretty cheesy. And I had many people tell me, man, that cover is hideous. It's a great book, awesome book, but that cover is absolutely hideous. Ignore it. You got to buy this book. So immediately within a month, I changed the cover. And I never heard a complaint about it ever again. So if you can reduce negative SKU, you can increase your probabilities for sales. I can guarantee you, I probably wouldn't be on your podcast today, or you probably wouldn't have even read my book today if I did not fix that negative SKU 10 years ago, which is interesting.
Well, yeah, it has this ripple effect over time too. I mean, it's influenced not just the beginning of your business, but every subsequent year or like event in your business. Like that beginning, like set you up for every possible success. If you stuck with that negative value skew that you had, you never would have, ever like experienced those exponential returns, which is crazy.
Sure. And here's another thing that is absolutely critical is, and this is why people fail in business. This is why people try to business and they fail. It's because they're too concerned about what they want, what they like. I loved that cover. I loved it. But everyone was coming back to me saying, hey, it sucks. So it was either, here, I'm going to stick to my ego. Oh, that's a good cover. I'm keeping it. Or I'm going to let the market dictate my path. Let the customers decide where I should be going and where I shouldn't be going. There's an old saying, I would rather be rich than right. So I chose to be rich over right when it came to that cover.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what's interesting to me is that you can sort of, like, it's not easy to, like, it takes effort to provide value skews and sort of cognitive effort in sort of tamping down the ego to reduce these negative skews as well. But what you can do is you can observe what's already in the marketplace and you can see what's not being done well or at all. And you can sort of like improve on that. One thing with Stairway to Wisdom, I mean, we saw a bunch of other like book summary sites. For one thing, I mean, it's sort of like, they're all these sort of bland summaries. They're not really interesting or anything. But what's as well, there's just like really, really short, condensed, like if you want to dig deeper into any of the concepts, they just give you the bare bones. And we saw a need that people wanted to go a little bit deeper. They wanted like a little bit of a longer breakdown. So like that was like a positive value skew. And we saw these unethical refund policies where, I would be doing a product research and, we'd see reviews on these different apps and, say like they charged my card 3 times and they never told me why. And, I couldn't get a refund and like they told me one price, and it was like for 2 or 3 other different services. And just by eliminating that, you separate yourself from the competition and you can just observe that, pay for it. You can just go out into the marketplace and see what's going on.
And here's some information that you may find helpful. I found my book, The Millionaire Fastlane, on the major book summary company. I won't name its name. And I actually read it. And I said to myself, if I never read my book and this is a summary I read, I wouldn't read my own book. It was so bad. I actually emailed them and said, remove this summary immediately. They didn't even have the sense framework outlined, which is a cornerstone of my philosophy. So again, you have identified value skew. They're not doing something right. See, what I ascertained from that experience was this company is not interested in educating their viewers. They're just interested in pumping out content to say, hey, here's the summary of this book. But no one really read it. Someone just skimmed it and pulled out a couple things. It's like, how do you summarize a book, but you miss the most important thing in the book? So then they did, to their credit, they did remove my summary because it was probably costing me sales. It wasn't generating any.
I don't waste time, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating. Yeah. Sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable.